Hello and welcome to Granada Reports.
Hello, thanks for joining us. Coming up on the programme this evening.
They're off again, the incredible three dads walking 500 more miles. We join them in Scotland to find out why.
Yeah, we need to get right upstream. We need to equip our young people so they take these skills into adulthood.
The mother of a man killed in the arena bombing says failing to bring in Martin's law is putting people at risk.
I'm singing in the rain.
With the first ever Northern Music Awards around the corner, we look at the healing power of music.
I'll be live at the Etihad on a huge night of football. It's the reigning European champions against the 14-time European champions as Manchester City face Real Madrid for a place in the semi-finals of the Champions League.
And it was a chilly start this morning here in the northwest. Temperatures down to freezing in a few spots last night. Any better news ahead? The forecast is coming up.
So please do stay with us. But first tonight, they've already walked 1,000 miles and raised more than £1 million for the suicide charity Papyrus. But not content with that, the three dads walking are setting out again.
The bereaved fathers, Andy, Mike and Tim, have just started their latest walk in Scotland. It'll take them 500 miles to Norwich, stopping at some of the charity hubs that have opened or are soon to open thanks to their amazing work.
Our correspondent, Mel Barham, joined them at the starting line.
Was it 3, 2, 1, let's go!
Three ordinary dads who've already achieved the exceptional. But this morning they set off from Scotland on their third charity walk, a different route but the same mission, to spread a message of hope.
We've learnt a lot through the last few walks. We need to smash the stigma about talking about suicide. And in doing that, if we're out there talking as three bereaved dads and people see us and understand that they can have an open conversation, you know, I think it'll go a long way to saving lives.
Andy, Mike and Tim were brought together by the grief of losing their daughters to suicide. They're now bonded by a determination to stop others suffering that same pain. And this time they're walking 500 miles down the east of the country to raise money for Papyrus. What started as a small suicide prevention charity in Warrington has expanded to include offices all over the country. Many will be key stops on this walk, like this one in Stirling that opened just 4 months ago.
What that they've done has helped us to grow into places where we need to be, and it really has unlocked a lot of potential and a lot of growth for us over the past couple of years now that the dads have been doing their walks.
That first walk happened in 2021. A year later, the three dads started a campaign to get suicide prevention on the school curriculum, a campaign being backed by a former teacher from Wigan. Nina Smith was so shocked by the poor mental health of some of her pupils, she decided to go back to university to do a master's in suicide prevention. But just days before she was due to start, her brother Will took his own life.
I was so excited going back to uni, sort of going to do this suicide prevention research. It was like a dream come true. And then I got this knock on the door telling me that he had taken his own life. And every time I hear about another suicide, I'm transported back to that knock at the door. You know, when I went to my mum's house and she was on the floor, you know, screaming, the conversation I had to have with my 5-year-old niece, and I had to be the one to tell her that her daddy had died.
Hold tight, I'm holding tight.
Will's story is far too common. Suicide is the biggest killer of under 35s, and the latest government stats show rates of self-harm and suicides are escalating. Among school ages, it's now at a 30-year high, with deaths amongst 15 to 19-year-olds rising faster than any other age group. Nina's research found it's teachers who are left struggling to help.
No matter how hard they were trying, they felt like they just couldn't give the support to the pupils that they needed. And they were going home and they were worrying about pupils' mental health. You know, would they get an awful phone call in the morning? They were finding pupils who had attempted suicide on the school premises. There was just no support, so they were just kind of left to do the best. I'm presenting my research to the academics.
Which is why Nina is now doing a fellowship at Edge Hill University, looking into how suicide prevention can be taught in schools.
In terms of my brother, I didn't know the signs, but nor did his friends either. So he spoke to some of his friends at the gym, but they didn't know what to do with those comments. They didn't recognise the danger in those comments. And I thought, if they'd have had that at school, maybe they could have helped him.
And that is exactly why the three dads are doing this.
Suicide doesn't discriminate.
No.
It can happen to any family anywhere in the country. So we need to get everybody. So it's very much a societal change we're looking at here.
Yeah, we need to get right upstream. We need to equip our young people so they take these skills into adulthood.
And over the next 25 days, they will continue doing what they do best, walking to get the country talking about suicide. Mel Barham, ITV News, Stirling in Scotland.
And as always, a huge good luck from Granada Reports to the three dads. They're incredible. And many thanks to Nina too for sharing her terribly sad story with us. We will be hearing more from the three dads on tomorrow's programme.
Yeah, and if you want to know what support's out there, do take a look at our website, the usual address, itv.com/Granada, where there is information on the services that are available.
Now then, you don't need us to tell you that Figen Murray has already proved herself a force to be reckoned with. She's tirelessly fought for better security measures in public spaces, a campaign she started after her son was killed in the Manchester arena bombing.
Yes, she wants the introduction of Martin's Law, but it's 5 years since the government committed to it and yet to get beyond the draft stage.
Well, Figen isn't someone who gives up. So now she's planning to take her concerns direct to Downing Street with a march from the spot where her son died. Our correspondent Rob Smith reports.
Today is one of our last practice walks.
Practising to walk from Manchester to Downing Street, the mum of an arena attack victim who wants better protections for the public. Figen Murray's son Martin Hett was one of the 22 people killed. The government's long backed the creation of a law named after him to ensure venues have plans to counter possible attacks. But it's still not gone through Parliament. Last month, Figen wrote to the Prime Minister asking for it to happen before the attack's next anniversary. The response wasn't what she wanted, so she's marching down to see him.
We've been very patient and we know that things take time, but we're now a month before the 7th anniversary and I'm thinking, no, I'm not having it anymore. This is becoming silly and this is becoming unreasonable now.
Starting at the arena on May 7th, Figen will walk to the attack memorial nearby. Over the next 180 miles, she'll pass memorials to other terror attacks before reaching Downing Street on the anniversary itself, May 22nd.
I'm hoping that there's going to be the general public who gets behind this once they see about the walk on the news, because I feel a lot of the general public don't know about Martin's Law, and it'll be a little bit like the post office scandal, that people power will actually put a bit more pressure on the government. We're practising a bit of a hill climb.
Figen was offered the government's gratitude for her efforts in a statement today, with ministers insisting they're committed to Martin's Law. They say they'll finalise the legislation as soon as, quote, parliamentary time allows. Rob Smith, ITV News, Manchester.
Yeah, not the last they've heard from Figen.
Next tonight, Greater Manchester Police say they are investigating a number of allegations relating to Tameside MP Angela Rayner.
The Deputy Labour leader has been accused of breaking electoral law by giving false information about her living arrangements a decade ago, something Angela Rayner has repeatedly denied.
Well, in the Commons earlier, Sir Keir Starmer called the accusations a smear. Let's cross now to our political correspondent, Andrew Misra. Andrew, what's the latest?
The latest, Gamal, is that the Chief Constable of Greater Manchester Police has now suggested that this investigation has widened. Previously, they'd said that they were investigating Angela Rayner over the sale of her council house in Stockport in 2015 and specifically over whether she may have broken electoral law. Now, though, Stephen Watson says that they're trying to get to the bottom of a number of assertions that are knocking around, and one of those is whether she paid the right amount of capital gains tax when she sold the property. Rayner has always maintained that she's done nothing wrong here, but Rishi Sunak brought this up in Prime Minister's questions earlier after Sir Keir Starmer asked about a new book by his predecessor.
He ought to spend a bit less time reading that book and a bit more time reading the deputy leader's tax advice.
We've got a billionaire prime minister and a billionaire prime minister, both of whose families have used schemes to avoid millions of pounds of tax, smearing a working class woman.
Now, you may have spotted Angela Rayner in the background there. Also in the background to all of this has been James Daly, another Greater Manchester MP who's also Deputy Chairman of the Conservative Party. The police reopened their investigation after he wrote them a letter, but earlier today he wasn't able to say exactly what it is that he thinks Rayner has done wrong. This is, though, very difficult for the Labour Party. They see Angela Rayner as a really valuable asset, so they would have hoped to have made this story go away by now. Instead, they're left hoping for the best from this police investigation.
OK, Andrew in Westminster, thank you.
Well, next to Merseyside and the children in Sefton uniting to save lives from knives. More than 1,600 pupils from 82 schools have been taking part in a unique relay race. It was to raise money to buy the kits that can help to save lives by helping to bring bleeding under control.
Yeah, it's all part of the No Knife Crime campaign launched by the sister of Colin McGinty, stabbed to death when he was 21 in a case of mistaken identity. Our correspondent, Anne O'Connor, has more.
The school day started a little differently for hundreds of kids on Merseyside this morning.
Oggy, oggy, oggy! Aye, aye, aye! Oggy, oggy, oggy! Aye, aye, aye!
There was a bear, a choir, and even a big band. But it was no less of a stretch for Sefton's pupils because amid the fun, they were running. A relay from school to school with bleed control kits as the baton, raising thousands for more kits and cabinets to be placed close to their classrooms. It's backing the campaign charity No Knife Crime in memory of Colin McGinty, a 21-year-old from Crosby, stabbed to death in 2001 in a case of mistaken identity.
It's obviously, this is keeping Colin's name alive, which is really important for me as Colin's sister. But bigger than that, it's about doing something in his legacy that will and has and will continue to save a person's life.
So at McGull High School, they're learning how to use those bleed kits to bring victims back from the brink in sessions led by Knife Savers, a team of medics who deal with stabbings every day.
Just put the pressure on and that can save somebody's life, and it has.
Unfortunately, it's a story we're seeing across our region over and over and again. Young kids picking up a knife, putting it in the pocket and taking it out. If we can instill on them what to do if any of their friends or anyone else is able to help them, but also having that message that there is no safe place to be stabbed. There's no safe place to stab somebody, and if a knife is taken out, it's probably going to be used.
Really important because that could happen to me, one of my friends, family, or just anyone in public.
Just in case it actually happens in real life, and then you'd be able to help out.
So we got told how to put pressure on, stop the bleeding and wait until the ambulance comes so we can help.
If anyone's being stabbed or anything like that, then you need to help them, not just walk by.
The girls and boys admit it's a bit frightening. The dummies they work on are very realistic. But sadly, it's becoming more necessary.
The more that you looked on social media, looked at the news, the age of children being involved in knife crime is getting younger, and something that we've got to be proactive about now and actually acknowledge it. It is out there. How can we stop it?
They are skills it's hoped none will have to use, but having them could help them change and save lives. Anne O'Connor, ITV News, McGull.
Yeah, well done to everyone involved in that initiative. Well, let's move on to sport now. Huge night for Manchester City in the Champions League, Mike.
Yeah, European nights don't get much better than Real Madrid coming to town. The Spanish giants have been crowned kings of the continent a record 14 times. But City are the defending champions and go into tonight's quarter-final second leg as the favourites with the scores level on aggregate. David Chisnall is at the Etihad for us this evening. David, this could be another classic.
Absolutely, Mike. If it's anything like the first leg, then buckle up, because we could be in for one heck of a game. 3-3 it ended at the Bernabeu last week. And of course, tonight's game, well, it reignites a recent rivalry between these two sides. It's seen them face each other 4 times in the last 5 seasons in the Champions League. City won 4-0 here last season in the semi-finals as they knocked Real out on their way to doing the treble. And with City leading the Premier League again, already through to the semi-finals of the FA Cup, a win tonight would be another huge step towards doing the unthinkable and unprecedented double treble.
We want to create that legacy, and we want to win another Premier League, to do 6 in 7 years and to do 4 Premier Leagues in a row. And we want to win the Champions League, to win 2 in a row. That would be legacy. So that's definitely motivation, knowing that it's very, very difficult, but we're fighting.
After win the treble, still being in that position with a 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, depend the finals, FA Cup or Champions League, being in contention, to be there, it's heads off, it's chapeau, it's incredible.
Everyone spoke a lot about them, you know, they're the treble winners, and rightly so. They're an amazing team, but I think you've got to understand that that's the impression from the outside. We're Real Madrid, and we're a pretty good team ourselves. We've got some brilliant players, and internally we're confident, and we trust in the abilities that we've got in the room and in the changing room.
Well, Real Madrid's Jude Bellingham faces his England teammates like Phil Foden, John Stones and Kyle Walker here tonight. Talking of Walker, good news for the City captain. He is back fit again after being out for 5 games with a hamstring injury. And those are just some of the stellar names who will be on display here tonight in what could be another blockbuster.
David at the Etihad, thank you very much indeed. Well, it's a huge week in Europe for Liverpool too. They have it all to do if they're to qualify for the Europa League semi-finals. That's the score heading into tomorrow's second leg against Atalanta. The Reds held their final training session this morning before flying out to Italy. No fresh injury worries for Jurgen Klopp. Indeed, he's travelled with one of his strongest squads yet this season after the return of a number of big names. Stockport County fans are celebrating their first championship in the Football League for 57 years. They were already guaranteed promotion, but last night clinched the League 2 title with a 5-2 win at Notts County. They dedicated the victory to George Thompson, a teenage county fan who took his own life in 2021. His final away game was at the same stadium where his dad, Dave, watched County last night.
I spoke to the players about in the pre-game meeting, so that was again for Dave over there to be able to get that flag down and have a picture taken with the players is very special. I know doesn't affect the sort of grief and pain that him and his family have gone through, but hopefully that's a little bit back from us.
Yeah, a lovely gesture from Stockport County. Elsewhere last night, Bolton's hopes of winning automatic promotion suffered another setback. They fell behind twice at home to Shrewsbury Town, but fought back for a 2-2 result. That's 2 draws in a row now, leaving Bolton 3 points adrift of the League One automatic promotion spots with just 2 games of the season remaining. Barrow remain in the League 2 playoff places. They drew 1-1 at Crawley Town. Preston, Fleetwood and Accrington Stanley all lost. And that's your sport tonight, guys.
Well done to Stockport. Mike, thank you.
Well, next, the emotional power of music and the connections it makes. Some of the artists nominated in the first ever Northern Music Awards have been taking part in some rather special music therapy sessions for those living with dementia.
The sessions are run by the charity Nordoff and Robbins, who are creating a dedicated therapy centre in Greater Manchester. It helps to create connections for those who are socially isolated or dealing with disabilities. Our correspondent Elaine Wilcox has been to the Heathlands village in Prestwich to see the therapy in action.
Singing in the rain.
Just singing in the rain. I'm singing in the rain.
Just seconds before, Nita was being comforted, but her mood lifted when the music began. Every week, residents living with dementia at the Fed in Prestwich have a music therapy session. Joanne Selig's late father and now her mother-in-law live at Heathlands Village, and the therapy is transformational.
To see them smiling along and joining in, and something we could do together as well. We could hold hands and sing together. It just meant so much.
Nita, Maureen, Debbie.
Nordoff and Robbins therapists try to create connections with music, taking their cue from those taking part.
because it has to be tailored to where that person is in that moment, and the music therefore has to change and flex to be with that person, support that connection moment by moment. Oh, what a beautiful day. I've got a wonderful
everything's going okay.
Next week, the charity's hosting their first ever Northern Music Awards. 9 of our Granada introducing acts are nominated, including soul and jazz artist Mika Miller, whose granddad had dementia.
In that session just then, it was actually quite emotional because gradually you can see maybe them singing along, coming up with a couple of lyrics, and we did do a lot of that with my granddad, yeah.
Did you like to have a sing-along?
He loved to have a sing-along, yes. When I was writing, he had a habit of going round and turning all the plug sockets off in the house.
You could have lost one of you.
Yes, right. I think
songs.
I probably did. I lost a few.
It brought back powerful memories too for pop poet Anthony Schmerick.
It was really, really beautiful. It was nice to see immediately how it helped, but it's lovely to see that when those chords come in of Singing in the Rain, they're right back. It was the same my grandma with Nat King Cole it was for us. So we'd play Unforgettable and she'd be back straight away, the light in her eyes.
The Stafford Beach House says the sessions have a calming effect which lasts all day.
We have one resident who that's the highlight of her week. She absolutely loves it.
The charity hopes to share the power of music with more people when it builds a dedicated music therapy centre in Greater Manchester. Elaine Wilcox, ITV News, Prestwich.
Yeah, well done to them. Well, look at that. It's a beautiful blue sky over the water today. So how's the rest of the week looking? Here's Joe to tell us.
Why do I need a shower? I've been out in the rain.
The faster you go, the sooner you'll be out. You'll save water too.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Thank you. Very good evening to you. As we approach the weekend, some more settled weather ahead. Cold last night, down to around freezing in a few spots, and there have been 1 or 2 heavy showers around today. A few bits of hail in the mix as well. Tomorrow, further showers to come. A blustery day on Friday, but by Saturday, settling down with some sunshine on offer. High pressure will gradually take control of the UK's weather. So as we go into the weekend and into next week, much drier conditions. It isn't going to be wall-to-wall sunshine by any means, but temperatures will be around average and we'll lose the cold nights. In the meantime, this evening, showers scooting through initially, but becoming dry, clear, and much like last night with those very light winds, pretty chilly in a few rural spots down to around freezing tonight. You might wake up to a grass frost for parts of Cumbria, Lancashire and Derbyshire before dawn. Elsewhere, a chilly but dry start to the day tomorrow. And those are the sun times, up at 6:02, setting at 8:19 tomorrow evening. On to tomorrow's details. Probably a gorgeous start to the day, actually. Lots of sunshine around, quite chilly across the northwest. We'll begin to see cloud bubbling up through the morning. And then encroaching from the north, cloud and a spell of rain across most places by the afternoon. Temperatures aren't particularly chilly, but neither is it warm. And winds won't pick up too much as that rain moves through, but a damp end to the day for all of us. After tomorrow, it is an improving picture. Friday looks a little drier, although rather cloudy for our part of the world. Still a chilly night to come Friday into Saturday. And Saturday is looking the best of the next few. High pressure in charge, bright or sunny spells, feeling pleasant, no real wind to speak of. A cloudier day to come on Sunday. Bye-bye.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Yeah, don't put any plants out yet. Thanks, Joe. That's it. Before we go, though, congratulations to Paul Hollywood, the great British Bake Off presenter who received an MBE at Windsor Castle today.
Yeah, Hollywood, who's from Wirral, was given the MBE for services to baking and broadcasting. And your services to broadcasting surely deserve some form of recognition. What about baking?
Well, I've certainly had some service to cakes. I've certainly eaten a lot of those in my time.
Haven't we all? What's your preference?
Well, actually, yesterday I had a huge slice of Bakewell cake.
Ooh.
That was good. How about you?
Lemon drizzle for me, every day of the week.
Yeah, good choice.
Bye-bye.
Just need a nice cup of tea to go with it.